I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today is a very momentous day, because this marks the day, that was too many days, anyway, that LEGO has finally returned to Harry Potter. We've been waiting months for these sets to come out, or well, really, we've been waiting years, but anyway, and they're finally here. And I'll start with my series of reviews on these sets by reviewing set number 75953, Hogwarts Whomping Willow. This set comes with 753 pieces, 6 minifigures, and retails for around $70 in the United States. It released on July 1st as a Target exclusive, although on August 1st it will be available at all stores. Without any more dilly-dallying, let's just get into the review, starting with the amazing minifigures. The first minifigure included in the set is none other than Harry Potter himself, and okay, this figure is absolutely amazing. We'll start at the top. He has a brand new hairpiece that is just perfect for young Harry Potter. I mean, it has the perfect right amount of, sort of detail in it. It's very messy, and it also has sort of that very round design. It just looks perfect. I don't really know how else to describe it. It looks good, it parts at his scar. It's the perfect piece. The face print is also absolutely flawless. I mean, I had a few worries when LEGO first announced these sets that they might get the likenesses to the characters wrong. But luckily, those doubts were completely unfounded, as this has to be one of the best likenesses to any actor that I've ever seen on a LEGO minifigure. This face print is perfect. The eyebrows, the eyes, the mouth, everything makes this figure look exactly like Daniel Radcliffe. The glasses use 2 colors, the rims around the eyes are black, and the rest are gunmetal gray. It's pretty much perfect. Removing the hair, you can get a bit of a better look at the scar. Yeah, this face is nearly flawless. Turning it around to the alternate expression, this one definitely loses some of the likeness to Radcliffe, but it does sort of, at the same time, it keeps the character of Harry Potter. It's very scared, which sort of fits the first few movies. And, yeah, I mean, I feel as though it's the mouth. The mouth is definitely too cartoony for this to be a realistic likeness, but he still looks really good, and this is a good alternate face, don't get me wrong. The expression is great, it loses a bit of the, it loses a bit of the likeness, but that's okay. Moving on to the torso, you can see that Harry has a very nicely printed red flannel shirt. I mean, the detail here is great. It's printed on dark red, and you have dark blue squares, but then you also have sort of, I mean, it's sort of hard to see, but it's like dark blue lines to sort of get a much lighter color in there, and it looks really good. He has pockets, he has buttons, the t-shirt underneath is just a sand blue print, very simple, but it looks good. I mean, yeah, the torso here is great. Turning him around to the back, you have some more great printing. Yeah, he has short legs, of course. All of the new figures have short legs because, I mean, this set is Chamber of Secrets. Harry is 12. It fits. Really, the last thing to talk about with this new figure is one of the hottest new pieces for these sets, the new wand piece. Yeah, no longer will our LEGO Harry Potter minifigures have to walk around holding lightsaber blades, because look at this beauty. It's perfect. I mean, it's about 2.5 studs long, so it's a good length. It's really well shaped. I mean, maybe if I just remove it from his hand, you can see it a bit better. You can see that, like, it has the handle, which actually has a bit of detail on that. It's the actual wand part is slightly curved inward, so it's a bit thinner at the top than at the bottom. It's really well done. And because of how these are packaged, which I'll get more into later, you do actually get a spare of Harry's dark brown wand. And something else that's awesome about the wand is he can hold it up like this, or he can hold it forwards like this. No longer, if we want our Harry Potter minifigures to duel, will we have to awkwardly just sort of shove the lightsaber blade facing forwards in the hand and hope that it doesn't fall off or damage the hand. Because LEGO thought of everything. And I mean, really, I guess that's just sort of the thing with these new Harry Potter sets. They are near flawless, and this figure is no exception. Easily one of the best minifigures that I have seen in years. So yeah, that's little Harry Potter, but how do the rest of the figures in the set fare? Let's find out. The next figure we get in the set is Ron Weasley, and unlike the other two members of the Golden Trio included in the set, and well, just the Golden Trio in general, Ron doesn't get a new hairpiece. Instead, his hair is just the modern Luke Skywalker hairpiece for Episode 4 in dark orange. And while it isn't a new piece, it fits perfectly. I mean, it's very round and bowl-shaped, so you have that, but it's a bit more messy around the back and sides, which is accurate. And the parting is in the exact same place as it is on Rupert Grint's hair. So yeah, the hairpiece, despite not being new, it might as well be a new mold, because it is perfect here, and it works better on Ron than it does on Luke, to be honest. I mean, this hairpiece was just a brilliant choice by LEGO. And then the face print is honestly, like, remember how I said that Harry was one of the best likenesses I've ever seen of an actor? Well, Ron is the best likeness I've ever seen on a minifigure. It's better than the ones for The Force Awakens. It's better than some of the really good ones we've got for the MCU. It's better than even the ones in these new Harry Potter sets. This face looks 100% like young Rupert Grint. The mouth, the eyes, the freckles, the eyebrows. The face is flawless. And while I could say pretty much the same with Harry's front face as well, if we turn Ron's head around, this face is also perfect for the same reasons. This time Ron, again, has a scared face, but unlike Harry's, this looks so much like Ron, specifically from the "Can we panic now" scene from, of course, the Aragog section of the Chamber of Secrets, and I apologize for that awful Ron imitation. It wasn't even trying. I wasn't even trying, really. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But yeah, I mean, the eyes, I mean, the mouth, this is just perfect. Easily one of the best face prints LEGO has ever made. I love it. The torso on Ron is perfectly fine. It's a beige sweater. I like the lighter tan lines coming down to represent sort of the pattern in the material. Looks nice. Underneath he just has a red t-shirt. It's alright. Not too much to say about it. Dark brown short legs. Here's the back of the sweater, just some more wrinkles and the same stripes to create the pattern. He has the same wand mold as Harry, just in regular brown. And again, you do get an extra in the set. So, yeah, that's the new Ron Weasley minifigure. Honestly, probably even better than little Harry. I mean, again, the figures here are top-notch. So that was Ron, and now let's move on to the final member of the Golden Trio from Harry Potter. That, of course, being Hermione Granger, who... Okay, we'll start with the hairpiece, because this has to be the best mold for the new Harry Potter sets. Better than the other new hairpieces, and even I even like this more than the new wands, because this hairpiece I have wanted for so long, because this hairpiece is perfect for Emma Watson. Obviously, I mean young Emma Watson when she played Hermione in the first 2 films. But this hairpiece is amazing. It is flawless. I mean, it has lots of shape to it, lots of curves. I mean, just turning it all around, it looks perfect, very messy. Yeah, it's great. The face print on Hermione, I am so glad that LEGO didn't give her lipstick. That would have absolutely ruined the figure. But luckily they didn't. We're good. The face print here, honestly, having it in person, it does look more like Emma Watson than the pictures we're letting on, although I don't know. I still don't know if this is the best likeness. I mean, again, I don't know what they could have done to improve the figure, since, I mean, I guess what's throwing me off is that Emma Watson used to have really chubby cheeks, I guess is the best way to say it. That is really awkward, and there's really no way for a figure to capture that. I don't know, but still a pretty good face print nonetheless, even if it's not perfect. Turning it around, though, I do feel as though the alternate face is a bit better with the likeness. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe the mouth's up a bit higher. Yeah, I think that might be it. I don't know. Yeah, I think it might be because the mouth's up a bit higher, so there's a bit more space between the mouth and the little chin line. I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point. I don't know why I think the face isn't spot on. It just isn't for me. But anyway, this is the first time we're getting to talk about the new Hogwarts uniforms, and they look pretty great. You see that LEGO is no longer printing the Hogwarts crests onto them, because of course that isn't accurate. Those are on the robes, not the jumpers. So this is pretty good. You have the little red and gold stripe for Gryffindor, some little details at the bottom. You have a couple of wrinkles, and then at the top you can see the collar with the white undershirt and the Gryffindor tie. Turning Hermione around to the back, you just have those details continued over, as well as just a couple more wrinkles. She just has black short legs. I mean, I could say that I kind of wished that LEGO had included a little skirt for her, but there's really no way that they could have accomplished a skirt with short legs. I mean, they could have done them sort of the double molded style, but that wouldn't have looked like a skirt. It would have just looked like she had partially gray legs. And really, LEGO can't... I don't think LEGO could really make a fabric piece this small. So, yeah, it's pretty good. I don't really mind. I'm glad that that they didn't do some gender-specific torso for Hermione, which they could have, but they didn't, which is great, because this figure is based off of 12-year-old Hermione, so it was completely unnecessary, and it was a good call to keep the torso gender-neutral here. And she has the new wand piece in tan, and another figure in the set does use the wand as well, so you don't get an extra in the set. But it's still a really cool piece, and I mean, again, you do still get 2, it's just that both are used in the set by figures. So yeah, that's the new Hermione. The face print, I feel, isn't as good as Harry or Ron, but the hairpiece does do a lot to make up for that. Another really awesome figure, I'd say. The 4th and final Hogwarts student included in the set is, unfortunately, the least of them, but he's still an alright figure. This is young Seamus Finnigan, who... yeah, you might notice off the bat that the hairstyle is a bit off. He has spiky hair, which at first doesn't really seem accurate. But then you realize that this hairpiece is for, of course, when he blows himself up a couple times in the Philosopher's Stone, therefore covering his face in soot and making his hair stand on end, which is a pretty nice detail. Like, I think it would have been cool if they could have also just included a normal hairpiece for him, but honestly, you have normal hairpieces, so this is alright in my opinion. Moving on to the face, you have this front side, which is pretty happy. sort of generic. You have a couple of freckles, but it looks alright. But what annoys me is that when you turn it around to the back, you just have this little sad face. Which, I mean, I guess is alright. But the thing is that this face isn't unique to this figure. It's just the Tim Murphy face from the Jurassic Park set. And while I don't have a problem with LEGO reusing faces on minor characters, the thing is that LEGO gave Seamus the hairpiece for when he blows himself up. So why didn't they give him an alternate face that's covered in soot? They wouldn't have even had to make a new one. I remember that there was a little kid from the Hobbit sets that had an alternate face where he was covered in soot. I mean, yeah, LEGO, either give us that face instead of this one, or give us a normal hairpiece for Seamus instead of the spiky one. But I mean, nonetheless, this is still an alright figure. I mean, in all respects, Seamus is just sort of a background character, so the average person won't care about this. It's just that as a Harry Potter super fan, this does get on my nerves a little. But anyway, he has the same not the same torso as Hermione, same black short legs, and he also has the same dark tan wand. So overall, Seamus doesn't really bring any new parts to the table, and he could be a bit more accurate, but he's still an alright figure, and I'd much rather have him than no figure taking up his spot. So, yeah, an alright figure, but could be better. So, he was the last student, so now let's move on to the first of two staff members included. The next figure included in the set is one that I am always glad to get in minifigure form, that being Professor Severus Snape, who looks pretty good. As you can see to start with, he does just have the Prince of Persia Dastan hair in black, which he also had back in 2010. I think it's a fine piece. I know that some people have been wanting a new one, because this one isn't perfectly accurate, but I think it's good enough. The face print here, I think, is really good. I mean, he's raising an eyebrow. Oh, the mouth is good. I mean, this looks exactly like Alan Rickman, I feel. And it's just a great likeness. I love this face. If I take off the hairpiece, you can see just a bit more of it as well. Like around the eyes and the mouth, the crease on the forehead. This figure just looks perfect on the front of the face. The back face, I feel, could be a bit better. I think it's the mouth. The mouth here does look a bit off to me. I mean, this is obviously a much angrier expression, but I don't know what it is. Something about it is just a bit off, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's the mouth. I mean, it still looks alright, just could be a bit better. But I do feel as though the primary expression is the preferable one, and by far the best face LEGO's ever produced for Snape. As you can see with the torso, LEGO has finally brought purple back into the Snape design after that color went missing for quite a few years. So he has on a purple waistcoat, it looks like, underneath of his robes. It's pretty well detailed, just some buttons, so actually pretty simple, but it works. The robes are very simply done, just some light gray lines on the black figure. It looks good, though, on the torso and the legs, and fun fact, the legs are not new for this figure. They're actually the same legs that LEGO printed for General Hux from Star Wars The Force Awakens. Just a little fun fact for you. I mean, I don't know why LEGO decided to reuse the prints, but honestly, I mean, you can't really tell that they're reused. And there was no reason not to reuse them, and there was certainly no reason to create a new print when this one works just fine, so bravo, LEGO. You finally did a reuse of a part that is perfectly fine. We don't see that often with LEGO, so pretty cool that they did it here. I mean, obviously, the reprint, the reuse working, not the reuse in general. LEGO does that a lot. Anyway, the back print is fine, just a couple of wrinkles. He has the wand piece in black. You do get a spare black wand. So, yeah. That is Professor Severus Snape. A really great figure. The alternate face is a bit awkward, but overall, really cool. Glad to get this guy in the set. The final minifigure in the set is another really great one. We have Argus Filch. And to start with, before we get into the figure itself, we're going to talk about his accessory. It is a new lamp piece that LEGO has started making for the LEGO Harry Potter lineup. And you can see that it is 2 pieces. The whole lamp outside the handle, everything, is a single gunmetal gray piece, and then the light inside is a trans yellow cylinder brick. And I think it looks really good, and this lamp is in the majority of the new sets, and it's a really cool piece. I love it. Yeah, and it looks perfect for Filch here. Yeah. But getting his delightful lantern out of the way and looking at the figure itself, dang. This guy looks really good. Starting at the top, we have the one thing about this figure that could be a bit strange to some, his hairpiece. Because it's not really a hairpiece as much as it is a bald cap. He has the William Shakespeare hairpiece, reused from the LEGO Movie CMF line, and it's an interesting choice, I must say. You, of course, have the hair coming down the sides and back, and on top, if we bend him down, you can see that he also has some sort of thinner hairs on top of his head. So, a really cool idea. I feel as though the hair is a bit thicker than it should be, and also a bit longer. I mean, shorter than it should be. Bled should be longer, but it's a nice part reuse nonetheless, and I feel as though that this is a pretty good reuse. Like, it's not perfect, could be a bit more accurate, but in terms of parts LEGO could use, this is the best. And again, Filch is a relatively minor character, so I don't think that LEGO really should have made a new mold for him. This is alright. His face print, though, gosh, that is another really good one. I mean, this absolutely blows the 2010 Filch figure out of the water. I mean, this is perfect for the actor, whose name I don't remember, unfortunately, but this looks so good. You have the eyebrows, the one squinty eye, the mouth is well done, the creases and wrinkles, his sideburns. I mean, this is perfection. Turning the face around, we have another really good face, this time being more sort of his angry, evil smile, I guess is a good way to put it. I mean, he has squinty eyes, angry eyebrows, and this sort of almost smiling mouth. So yeah, another really awesome face print that I think is perfect here. The torso print is nearly identical to the 2010 version, but since the 2010 version was a really good print, I don't mind. You have the coat, you have sort of his waistcoat underneath, an undershirt, and a tie. All sort of messily done. It's pretty great. You have his gray trench coat that also has some printing going down onto the legs. And on the legs you have his belt, and you can also see a couple of keys hanging from it. On the back, Filch just has some very simple detailing for the back of his outfit. And yeah, that is Argus Filch, the last actual minifigure of the set. Well, there is one other figure that we have here. Although before we go to that, I do want to bring up a pretty major issue with this figure. Not with the figure itself, but with something it's missing. LEGO. Where is Miss Norris? You know, Filch's cat, Mrs. Norris. Where is she? Filch and Mrs. Norris are pretty important. You kind of can't have Filch without Mrs. Norris. Did you think no one would notice, LEGO? Did you think that no one would care that you excluded Mrs. Norris? Because I noticed. I care. And from what I've gathered, a lot of other people seem to have noticed as well. when I showed this set off to some of my friends and my family, and I showed them the Filch minifigure, the first thing they asked, the first thing was, hey, where's the cat? So I think it is stupid that LEGO did not include Mrs. Norris here. It wouldn't have even been that hard. They could have just taken the LEGO Movie cat mold, made it dark brown, and just put a bit of printing on it. Would have been easy. But no. At least that's what I thought when I first saw this set. But what's really weird is that in the Harry Potter minifigure series, Hermione has Crookshanks, who looks nothing like Crookshanks, and at first I thought it was just shoddy design. But then I compared the new Crookshanks to the old 2010 Mrs. Norris, and it has the exact same facial design as the 2010 Mrs. Norris. So, if I had to guess what happened, Filch here was originally going to come with Mrs. Norris in the set, but then someone at LEGO who was doing the minifigure series realized, hey, wait a second. It's pretty odd for Harry and Ron to have their pets, but Hermione doesn't get one. So then they just took Mrs. Norris out of the set and popped her in there. I mean, it's not confirmed, but it might as well be, because the Crookshanks in that set is brown, like Mrs. Norris, thin, like Mrs. Norris, and has 3 stripes on her forehead, like Mrs. Norris. So yeah, LEGO, why'd you do that? Why'd you do this to me? But nonetheless, despite not coming with his adorable, furry, evil companion, Filch is still pretty awesome. And that's enough talking about the minifigures. Let's move on to the, I guess, sort of a figure included here, and then we'll move on to the builds of the set. So, the last figure we get in this set, though not a minifigure, is Harry's pet snowy owl, Hedwig, who I think looks absolutely adorable. If you don't know, this is the exact same design of Hedwig that LEGO used in the 2010 Harry Potter line, which is alright by me. I mean, the Hedwig in those sets was perfect, so I really don't see anything LEGO could have improved on, so I'm perfectly fine with this being the same one. And she looks really nice. I mean, you have lots of feather printing on the front, her eyes and beak are well done. Around the sides and back, you have some nice molded-in feathers. I mean, really, the only difference between this and the old one is that the print is lined up correctly. As opposed to the old one, where sometimes you would get the printing way off to one side. So yeah, Hedwig here is pretty great. A great figure, cool to get again. So now, let's move on to the actual builds of the set, starting with the Flying Ford Anglia. So here we have the Weasley's Flying Ford Anglia car, which is a really awesome build to get in the set. And let's just start by looking at the exterior of the vehicle. Starting at the front, you can see that unlike the old one, LEGO has now realized that there isn't any space between the grille and the bumper. So now those are touching and it's great. The bumper is actually made out of silver pieces, which is nice. You have the license plate on a 1x2 sticker, which is fine. The headlights are now yellow, which I think is good since it makes it look like they're lit up. So yeah, overall a lot of simple improvements to the vehicle, I guess is the best thing to say here, but they go a long way to making it look much better. It now has some mirrors on the sides, which is nice. I think the wheel choice here is pretty great to just have the silver hubcaps. You have the white stripe carrying through, and the you have that actually printed on the door piece, which is nice. The doors can open, of course. And the wheel arches were actually built in some very interesting ways. At the back, you can see that there was a cheese slope attached on a bracket piece, but that's a new bracket, a 1x1 bracket instead of the usual 1x2, so that's pretty cool. And then at the front, you see a straight-up upside-down cheese slope, and that's because of the cheese slope, as well as the 1x6 tile above it that it's attached to, aren't attached at all. They're just straight up, they're just put upside down, and they just sit there. It works perfectly fine, though, so I think it's cool. I think the model has some pretty good shaping to it. I like how at the back you have the rear lights being cheese slopes, and those sloping into the 1x4 tiles, as well as at the front you have the 1x4 tiles again, sort of creating the flatness above the headlights. Sorry, I just attacked my tripod viciously. But yeah, if I had one complaint, it's that I really don't like how you have the two slope pieces here. I kind of wish that this had maybe just been a 1x2x2 slope that was just a single piece that was 2 bricks tall, and just have it be a 2 tall version of this piece. Don't have it coming off to the back, because I guess my other complaint here is that why is the roof shaped like this? The Fort Anglia had a square roof. It did not have these 2 bits coming off the back. They should have just, again, just not had these pieces and just had the single area of sloping, just have the 1x6s and the piece in the middle. So that's a bit of a problem, but that's easily fixable. Anyway, turning this around to the back, you can see that you again have the license plate printed on, which is nice. The bumper is again metallic silver. Well, not really metallic, pearl silver, I guess. I don't know. Not the flat silver exactly, but slightly shinier than that, I guess is the best way to describe it. You have the backlights, which are nice, and for a feature, the boot can open up, revealing a couple of suitcases. There's nothing inside of those, but they can just be dumped out. There isn't room for anything else in the back, though, if you're curious. I mean, except for maybe something really tiny. Like, maybe you could fit in an extra wand piece. But yeah, so that's the Fort Anglia on the outside. However, there is another aspect to this, of course. I mean, it's a car, so you want to put your figures inside. And if this vehicle has a downside, it is that. Because if we take off our roof, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm glad that there is now a back windshield piece. That's a nice touch. And we also remove these 2 1x6 tiles just to make it easier. Open up the doors just for maximum access. We look inside and, hey, wait a second. The steering wheel's in the middle? These studs are down one? Yeah. This car was designed for 1 minifigure. 1. Lego. Why? Why would you design it for 1 minifigure? There should be 2 in it, Harry and Ron. I'll just put this here so it doesn't stop. So yeah, that is really annoying. And, I mean, sure, it's easy to modify, but the thing that annoys me isn't the fact that that I can't fix it. It's the fact that no one at LEGO thought to fix it. So, what you're supposed to do is just take your Ronald Weasley minifigure and just, I guess, stand him on these studs here, have him take the wheel, and then Harry can just stand outside. But luckily, we can just ease Harry in there if you want to. I mean, you do have to stagger them, though. But basically, you could just sort of attach Harry back here, as far back as he can go, and then attach Ron in front of him. I mean, it's not really official, and it's a bit unstable, but you know what? I have them both in here completely unofficially, and I much prefer that to having one figure in here with the official design. So, yeah. Overall, the Fort Anglia looks really good on the outside, although minifigure capacity could be a bit better. Oh well, still a really nice build and one that I'm glad LEGO included here. Really awesome. This next build is the thing that gives the set its name. Here we have the Whomping Willow itself. And a lot of people have complained when this set was first revealed until now that the tree is pretty small. I mean, it should be a massive willow tree, and when we put a minifigure next to it, I mean, it really isn't. And while you could see that as a problem, I don't. Because while sure, the Whomping Willow is undersized, which would you rather have? $40 worth of Hogwarts and $15 worth of Willow, or $15 worth of Hogwarts and $40 worth of Willow? Personally, I think the answer is pretty obvious, so I am glad that LEGO went this way instead of giving us some giant tree. But for what it's worth, this is still a very nice build. Starting off at the base, you can see that you do at the front have the secret passageway to get to the Shrieking Shack not included, and you can just sort of slide a figure in there if you want to. And don't worry about getting them out, because the bottom is actually hollow, so that's good. I mean, at the back there isn't any outlet hole to get out, but that's alright, since, I mean, obviously in the universe that would lead into an underground tunnel. So, I think it's fine, and who knows, maybe in the future we'll actually get a set of the Shrieking Shack with that tunnel that we can put the Whomping Willow on top of. Just an idea. Anyway, you can see that also at the base you just have a lot of different cheese slopes, and other pieces to make it look like it has some sort of foliage and moss growing around it, as well as you also have a couple of these sort of brown bullhorn pieces being used to just sort of have some roots, which is another really cool part usage. And I like it. This just looks really detailed around the base. Here you have sort of the tree growing backwards a bit more. Here you have a knob that we'll get to in a minute that has the play feature for this build attached to it. Moving up, you can see that the majority of the trunk here is just these two large half-cylinder pieces, along with these sort of four large half-tentacle pieces to just sort of give it this winding shape, which I think is good. And then the stickers on these cylinders, I mean, they do a good job at getting some wood detail in there, making it, again, look very twisted around. It's good. I like it. The branches are all very similar builds. They're all just articulated. They have a Mixel's ball joint here at the bottom, so they can move around. You could also spin the leaf, well, not really the leaf parts, the individual branches if you want. And you can also see that on the larger branches, on each one, you have one of these new flower stalk pieces and one of the new flower pieces, both in green, to have some sort of mossy detail, like stuff's growing off of this, which I think is pretty nice. And yeah, in the middle here, you just have a 4x4 piece with a 2x2 in the center. So you could put something there. The obvious choice here being a forward anglia, which doesn't really attach, but you can sort of get it to work, of course. You can just sort of rest it in here, maybe. I mean, like, if I have one complaint, it's that when you're getting the car in here, the flower stalk pieces do have a tendency to come off quite a bit. They're not attached very securely, but you could do a good job at getting the car to go in here, maybe something like, yeah, there. Now you have the car secured pretty nicely in here, and you have and the knob, I mean, it spins the tree around, which, I mean, at first you might not think is too good, but I think it's pretty fun because you can just sort of rapidly shake the car around, which I think is it's a pretty fun thing to play with, honestly. I like it. So yeah, just pulling the forward anglia back out of the Whomping Willow and maybe, just maybe, trying to get it back into a more regular shape. So yeah, overall, the Whomping Willow, definitely a bit undersized, but personally, it's very nicely done, very well scaled to what we get in here. Like, that's another thing, really. Like, it might not be scaled well to the figures or to the car, but if you were to compare this in size to the Hogwarts sets that we get, this scales pretty well to Hogwarts, which, again, good choice. So, yeah, very well detailed, good for play, good size, in my opinion. Yeah, the Whomping Willow here is great, and definitely earned the distinction of being the set's namesake. So that is the Whomping Willow part of the set, so now let's move on to the large section of Hogwarts Castle that is included here.